Raquel here, and a new episode of Death Blow Podcast is starting now. Welcome, subscribe, like and share my episodes, and don't forget to follow me on social media like Instagram, Facebook and TikTok. I am even on Spotify and other audio platforms. Death Blow Podcast. Cliff Barton's death, September 1986. That same evening, the Swedish radio program Rockbox broadcast various metal bands to honor his memory. One of these songs was Solitude by the Swedish doom metal band Candlemass, and today I want to talk about them. Candlemass is a Christian holiday held on February 2nd, and during this day, candles are blessed. They took inspiration for the name thanks to this feast. Candlemass band inspired the beginning of Swedish death metal movement, and their best influence was Black Sabbath. Leif Edling, born August 6, 1963, born and raised in Upplands Väsby, a suburb of Stockholm, is the founder and bassist of Candlemass. He started playing in a band called The Trilogy, then changing his name to Toxic. He collaborated with Ian Ogland in 1979. For those who don't know, Ian is the drummer of Europe from the album The Final Countdown Onwards. He was in a band called Witchcraft but left the band in 1981 and formed Nemesis the following year. Him and Mats Ekström played together in this band and recorded an EP, The Day of Retribution, and a demo called The Tales of Creation. This is what Leif describes their sound. For Tales of Creation, the concept story was written during the very last months of the existence of Nemesis, I will say autumn or winter 1984. Early 1985, the first version of Candlemass saw the light of the day, and we recorded a bunch of songs in Studio Garage at Stockholm. That was the very first Candlemass demo, containing World Child, Crystal Ball, A Sorcerer's Pledge, and Into the Unfathomed Tower. The whole lineup of this band was Leif on bass and vocals, Anders Wallin guitarist, Christian Weberyd guitarist, Anders Waltersson drummer, replaced by Mats Ekström later. Nemesis tracks were later used for Candlemass future songs. They were recorded under unnamed projects between the end of Nemesis era and beginning of Candlemass. This band was active from 1982 to 1984. Candlemass started in January 1985, and they have recorded a demo, 3 guys, Leif Edling even on vocals, Mats Ekström drummer and Johnny Reinholm on guitar, but appear even Christian Weberyd on guitar, according to Metal Archives. If it's not correct, don't hesitate to correct me in the comments. The demo begins with Black Sabbath style, doom metal and notable guitar dissonance. I really like Ozzy's style singing, but much more mysterious and desperate. Crystal Ball has musical qualities that are certainly important throughout the 80s era of metal. Then it gets a little faster, and then solo stands out a lot and gives a magical touch that makes you daydream. The beginning with some wind and bells give a spooky touch to the second track. Leif voice and arpeggio on guitar, then changing and evolving into a heavy metal structure, give birth to the extreme metal movement in Cold Sweden, even if not at Bathory's level, much wilder than Candlemass, but still of significant importance. The presence of the keyboard is just a taste of what black metal bands would do 10 years later. All in all, it's a great demo. Too bad the audio isn't exactly high quality. I could certainly describe this demo as much more doom heavy metal, a branch of Black Sabbath and prog rock of the 70s, pleasant to listen to and very interesting from a technical point of view. The last track, faster than the rest of the demo, contains an excellent riff and takes inspiration from classical music, an excellent point of reference for musicians. Always in 1985, Candlemass recorded through cassette their second demo called Demon's Gate, and on Bandcamp site Leif says, a recording we did as a brand new band in Upplands Väsby 1985. It's from the rehearsal room when we played Demon's Gate, Under the Oak and a bit of Blackstone Wilder. It's probably recorded on my giant Sharp 555 Kilo Blaster with overtopped vocals by myself. It's about 9 months before we enter Thunderlord to record Epicus Domicus Metallicus. This demo was recorded at Studio OAL in December 1985. Demon's Gate is lyrically based on Lucio Fulci's 1981 horror classic The Beyond, and the track Blackstone Wilder is Leif Edling's personal interpretation of the Three Wise Men, and it contains melody from a Swedish 19th century song Glans over sjö och strand, aka Betlehemsstjärna. That means shine over lake and beach, aka Star of Bethlehem, according to Metal Archives. About the arrangement, the slow drums start and then the addition of evil guitar riffs give it that Black Sabbath feel. Leif's voice is always very powerful and alternates moments in which the voice becomes darker. Very beautiful. I really love guitar scale they used. 70s prog rock climate is very present. Bass with drums towards the middle of the song creates a bridge, and it's an excellent variation. For this demo joined the band Mappe Björkman as a rhythm guitarist, born on 14 December 1964. For next release, Candlemass was searching for a new singer, and they got in contact with Johan Lundqvist, born on 23 August 1963. This is what he said in one interview. Yeah, they were looking for a singer, and they had a drummer in the band at the time living in Jocos Bay, and he asked me if I would be interested in doing Epicus with them. And later on I met them and told them I was very involved in my own band, and that it would be great to sing on the album. I had to also continue to work on my own project. You decide if you think that it's okay. We talk about it, and obviously you can't leave your own project. They were happy for me to do the vocals anyway. Candlemass recorded their first album called Epicus Domicus Metallicus under Black Dragon Records, while for United States under Leviathan Records, recorded at Thunderlord Studios. Does it remind you of anything? Well, if you don't remember, it's the place where Morbid's demo December Moon was recorded. If you haven't seen my episode dedicated to Perolin, watch it on Deathblow Podcast, recorded in March-April 1986 and published on June 10 of the same year. Back cover made by Eric Larnois, photo by Uffe Magnusson. There are new session members: Klas Bergwall on guitar, Sille Svensson on vocals, same lineup of demos. The engineer of this album is Ragnar Bergqvist, heavy load guitarist and vocalist. Heavy Load is a Swedish heavy metal band formed in 1976, very popular in Scandinavia. Christian Weber, despite his cooperation for this release, was out from the band due to a lack of interest and musical differences. This album contains 6 songs in total: Solitude, Demon's Gate, Crystal Ball, Side A, Blackstone Wilder, Under the Oak, and A Sorcerer's Pledge, Side B. Speaking of lyrics, the theme of loneliness and death are very present. About Solitude track, Leif dedicated this to himself and wrote it due to personal problems. Hate, pain, and torment are closest friends on this vital journey. Return to dust, return to earth. For Candlemass, early journey becomes a soul torment, a death trip, soul damnation and no rest. Hell awaits its victims of this suffering. Enter Demon's realm where only eternal damnation awaits. The reference to Avon refers to a novel entitled The Book of Avon, written by Clark Ashton Smith. Clairvoyance, discovering future thanks to Crystal Ball. There is even a reference to Set Talisman, the Egyptian god, symbol of disorder, darkness, and storms, is mentioned. I tried to find something about this talisman, and it appears Horus High, that was stolen by Set and destroyed later. Spells to break, references to the Bible, a star must come to light their way to the one who is born, the Black Stone and its evil powers. These are some elements that Candlemass decided to talk about in their lyrics: spells and occultism, crying for the dead, chained soul, oak for shelter, sacrifices and references to God in the phrase "give me a sign to see if there is something concrete in afterlife." A sorcerer who wants to live forever, drinks blood and as a symbol of youth, who will wake up one day from his long sleep, and when he opens his eyes, he will be younger than before. About the music, this album starts with a melancholic atmosphere, and I have to say that they succeed very well. The arpeggio with acoustic guitar gives that effect. The battery also did a few years later in Hammer Heart. Keyboard with acoustic guitar makes the sound funereal and sad. Johann's voice is truly melancholic. Then everything transforms. Electric guitar begins a slow but brilliant riff. Drum begin a march typical of doom genre. Guitar solo is something magnificent and fuses doom with heavy metal. Solo seems like a tireless lament of suffering, and they described it impeccably. Keyboard and demonic voice act as an intro to something spooky. This album contains some very interesting riffs, pleasant to listen to and very well performed. The Sabbathean and prog rock part continues, but much more focused on death and afterlife. Johann's high notes seem to have a classical basis with a tenor intonation, a clean and powerful voice. Crossovers between two guitars are good, performing a riff, demonstrating they have an excellent understanding. A version of Crystal Ball on this album is not like the version on the first demo, but I have to admit that I prefer the demo version instead of this one, but it still remains one of my favorites. It's much more wicked in some ways and more dissonant, even if Epicus' version is much more elaborated. The drums get faster in this song, and with guitar riffs it's great. Guitar solos are based on classical music as well as Johann singing, but much more rock in his high notes. I really like the sequence between the two guitars forming chords, simulating a string orchestra, and various guitar riffs that are heard throughout the album, and they never get boring. This album makes you understand that it's not necessary to overdo it, but putting the right notes in the right places makes for successful music a successful album. In Under the Oak, there is a crazy melancholy that band manages to bring out. Johann's truly desperate voice gives you chills. Johann's language after recording this album left the band because he didn't have much time. He explains better here. You know, when we recorded it, I already had a family and a child. So in the end it was 4 kids and now 7 grandchildren, and they are all now grown up. And I can do what I want, so that's the perfect timing. When I was 24-25, people were asking, could you join us and tour? And of course I needed to earn to pay the bills. I couldn't leave the family at the time. At his place arrived Messiah Marcolin, real name Messiah Jan Alfredo Marcolin, born on 10 December 1967. Me, being Italian, recognized his surname, and in fact his father really is Italian, Venetian father and Swedish mother. He is often referred to as Eddie, later changed to Messiah in October 1986. As a new vocalist, Messiah recorded Leif one night and started singing a cappella and playing Solitude with guitar over the phone, and he got the job. After that, rehearsed with them and became a stable member. Messiah played in a band called Mercy before, but he left due to musical differences. Epicus sold around 15,000 copies at the time. As influences for their songs, they were inspired by Angel Witch, Uriah Heep and Rush as most important ones. Mats Ekström left the band as well because he didn't have much time to dedicate to music and was replaced by Ian Lind, born on 29 July 1964. After Epicus, they decided to leave Black Dragon Records. This is what Leif explained about it. Our record deal with them was for 1 year only. At the moment, we have a few labels we're considering, but nothing is really decided yet. Black Dragon doesn't have a very good distribution of their records, and in the States they have got none, so the record is only available on import, unfortunately. In March 1987, Candlemass rehearsed with the new vocalist and recorded a demo, and there was Mike Witt, real name Per Michael Wikström, born on 6 April 1967. This cassette contains only 2 songs, Bewitched and Battle Cry, but still during the same year Candlemass decided to return to the studio to record a new album during the summer. Again at Thunderlord, Mike Weed collaborated with them on the track Black Candles Only. Messiah explained better here. We went into the studio and he did his solos, which didn't work out at all. In 3 days he'd only only done one solo because he hadn't practiced on the solos at all before entering the studio. We play very heavy music and his solos didn't suit us at all. Lars Johansson, lead guitarist, becomes an official member thanks to Mike, that was a good friend of him. They usually hanged out at a Hard Rock Cafe in Stockholm. While they were recording in studio, Lars improvised some riffs. This album was released on 9 November 1987 under Axis Records first, then changed in Active Records, a sub-label of Music for Nations. The original title had to be Gothic Stone, but Mark Collins suggested for Nightfall. Messiah furthermore had chosen album cover, a painting made by Thomas Cole entitled The Voyage of Life. It contains 10 tracks in total, 5 tracks for each side. Analyzing lyrics, they talk about crypts, circles of magic, darkness, and descents upon land. The endless battle between light and darkness. Furthermore, there is a reference to Mendes' goat, a reference to fallen angel, who had a goat-like appearance similar to fauns and centaurs. Baphomet's symbol, to be more specific. Rituals that awaken dark creatures, a fascination of forbidden. Name Codex Gigas of Davis Bible refers to the largest medieval manuscript that ever existed. It was created in a Benedictine monastery in Bohemia, and within this one there are Latin translations of the entire Bible and other texts of human knowledge. It also contains a depiction of the devil in one page. Legend says that a monk, for having broken some monastery rules, was condemned to be waltzed alive, and the previous night he offered to write an enormous book to be spared to the condemnation. No rest for sinners. Candlemass named the god Hypnos, or god of sleep, who in ancient Greek mythology could put men and gods to sleep. Hangings, death's arrival, everything goes out. The last song. Poverty and survival, death awaiting the last breath. In the album there is even a cover of classical music piece Marche Funèbre by Frédéric Chopin. Coming back to lyrics analysis, they talk about a light that saves, that looks and observes, an evil song that bewitches anyone who hears it, magic power, play for your destiny. About arrangements, Nightfall intro is very gothic with keyboard and dark effects. It sounds like a symphonic orchestra. Messiah's voice with riff create an unique atmosphere. Classical music merges with heavy metal. Nice to listen to. The Well of Souls, smooth and very well made as a piece. Material is of high quality. Guitar riffs within the album are very beautiful. Messiah's voice is capable of moving as always. Here our instruments find the right energy and balance, and it has an epic sound. A presence of acoustic guitar at the beginning of At the Gallows End gives a sense of melancholy and sadness. Messiah's voice manages to make this lament as realistic as possible. Then guitar riffs were almost all well written. Faster drums alternate with slower drums. High notes of Messiah managed to make some notes vibrate higher and higher. A marching rhythm and guitar scale make an album unique. Really, Samaritan, touching, melancholic, slow but powerful. Guitar riffs create a lamented representation of a slow death of the soul. Perhaps the best track on the whole album. There is a classical music, heavy metal, depression, slow and eternal fading away. A complete masterpiece. Thrilling. Tempo alternates between 3/4 and 4/4, something Mayhem achieved with Freezing Moon. Chopin covered with the keyboard and guitars is something unique. Another track I've always liked from this album is Bewitched. I like everything about the song. From rhythm guitar intro to the beginning of drums to Messiah's voice explosion with the side notes that are impossible not to recognize from the first second. Even though this album was recorded more than 35 years ago, it is still a gem of the doom metal genre, epic, a funereal atmosphere, and the description of death as a friend. Black Candles is truly a great instrumental piece, acoustic guitar and then electric guitar that follows it. It's a beautiful piece, too bad it didn't become a full vocal song, really. To promote the album, Candlemass created a video clip. That video featured Leif Edling as an extra, directed by Jonas Åkerlund, ex-drummer of Bathory in Scandinavian Metal Attack. If you want to know more, go and watch the video dedicated to Porton of Bathory, part 1, here on Death Podcast. About the video, this is what Leif thinks about it. We did one for Bewitched, but it's more of a homemade thing. It's not particularly good. We don't want to send anything around that we are not happy with. There should be quality on the things we do. We will probably tape some live shows, so we might release something in the future. My opinion instead is that it's a great video that became a cult of my generation thanks to YouTube, where it's possible to watch it until now. It seems that many Swedish metal bands were not happy about the music videos. Same thing happened to Bathory about the One Road to Asabay video. Coming back to the band, Mappe Björkman during that period was in jail for a month for his refusing to do military service. Furthermore, Lars broke his arm. It seemed to be a very dark period for Candlemass, but that doesn't stop them from playing live either. They did concerts in Sweden, Uppsala, Stockholm, Gothenburg and Jönköping, and only one date in Copenhagen, Denmark. In 1988 they played live since March until December, even in Europe. One of the most important live shows they did was at Dynamo Open Air on May 23rd, August 1988. Candlemass prepared all the material to work on, and they recorded a new album at Nacka Recording House near Stockholm, mixed at Montezuma Studio. If you remember Bathory episodes, I even talk about this one. Go to watch it now. This release is called Ancient Dreams, published on 23rd November 1988 under Always Active Records. Above cover, always a painting of Thomas Coe, but another one called The Journey of Life, Youth. 8 tracks, 4 tracks each side, same lineup. Lyrics clearly speak of awakened demons, mirrors as portal to other dimensions, essence of evil and nightmares inside the mind, screams of pain, a cry from the crypt, undead waiting for the next victim, lost soul sheds tears, releasing its agony. Dark shadows, night approaching, there is no more peace, only darkness, dreams gone, begging for forgiveness for sins, a sad fate that awaits the end, kingdom of Lucifer advancing, establishing it, damned soul wandering through life aimlessly and feeling lost, living the night among strange creatures, lost innocence, a search for the cure from this internal burden, tiring inner journey to free the soul. For Candlemass, it is important to believe in your dreams, chasing horizons, phoenix as a symbol of death and rebirth. Then there is a reference to a ruler of 7 heavens, all 7 layers of heaven, a religious and cosmological concept. Each layer represents a planet in the solar system and its orbit. Each planet can influence humans' personality and not only. Then they talk about Acheron, a river located in Greece, described in mythology as the gateway between this world and afterlife. Even Alighieri named Acheron in his opera Inferno. Sinners who unleash God's wrath. Candlemass in their lyrics demonstrate their passion about literature and mythology. They stand out with high intelligence. Epistle 81 was written by a Swedish musician called Carl Michael Bellman. For this album, they even filmed a video clip for the track Mirror Mirror, directed by Ulf Magnusson and Michael Johansson, that you can watch on YouTube. Ancient Dreams always begins with a background keyboard and guitar following the symphony. The guitar in Mirror Mirror is really metal, but not too fast. Messiah manages to transform a song into an opera with his tenor vocal timbre and manages to convey terror in his high notes. This song is really catchy, excelling with the 2 guitars following some fantastic notes. Every riff is special on this album and is capable of creating a real work of art. This album is really different from Nightfall. The solo on A Cry from the Crypt is spectacular. It contains variations capable of greatly exciting the listeners. It still follows a Black Sabbath vein, but much more faster and darker. Darkness in Paradise seems to hint at an oriental rhythm. The bass becomes the protagonist in some parts and is an excellent study. Messiah uses a normal timbre, not high, but shows that he has an excellent vocal range. Incarnation of Evil opens with the demonic vocals, rhythm changes but style remains the same. Some keyboard notes to make an atmosphere much darker. Messiah's voice is powerful and describes an impeccable inner suffering. Slow track to give it a sense of melancholy typical of their genre. Energetic bearer of pain. Messiah's voice always aggressive and high-pitched, powerful guitars. Voice and guitar follow the same notes, and I must say that the solo is very beautiful. Solo part seems a symphonic orchestra and a piece of classical music. The Bells of Acheron is the best of the whole album in my opinion. The riff is catchy and it's not too slow like others. Energetic, complete and high note of Messiah is unmissable. Amazing solo too. The keyboard creates a dark background environment and is very successful at it. Epistle number 81, Messiah expresses pain and melancholy and his voice is a protagonist in this song. Guitar and drums are only a plus. For how much I like this band, Ancient Dreams is not like Nightfall. It's still great this album, but Nightfall is much better in many ways. Now, I want to tell you something that happened to me many years ago related to this band Candlemass. In July 2012 I had the honor and pleasure to talk with the ex-singer right now, Messiah Marcolin. He was adding friends on his personal profile from his Facebook page and I received his friendship request. From that moment he contacted me and we started communicating about music and a great passion for it. He saw Paleolin pictures that I had on my Facebook profile and started to talk about him and how important was for black metal. He said he didn't know him very well, and that was sad to know that a couple of years later the shooting of Bewitched, he would have passed away. About me, he encouraged me to play my guitar and to be an awesome vocalist one day. Who knows if that would be possible. And what about you guys? Have you ever had a chance to talk with some musicians in metal community? If you want to, you can write it in the comments. And it's all for this episode of Death Bro Podcast. Subscribe, like and share my videos. Death Bro Podcast has a website and Instagram, Facebook and TikTok for updates. See you soon guys.